What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Commentary Position Podcast. This is episode number 12. Hope you guys are having a great Saturday, good weekend in general, actually, because, Friday came to pass, SmackDown. Uh, Not much of note, but of course, we're gonna find something. We're gonna try to salvage it. Um,
We'll
as
slog.
always,
We're gonna
uh
slog through it. Yeah.
yeah. As always, my name's PTP, Percy, whichever one you want. And we got G. G knows game. How we doing?
It's a good Saturday afternoon. Unfortunately,
The sun's shining.
yeah, yeah. Better day, better today than yesterday.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I almost thought I would be sick for this, but cold passed mad quick. Or might have had a sinus infection. Probably a sinus infection.
Oh, I'm definitely. It's spring. It's definitely that kind of weather for sure.
Yeah. But
Ah,
yep. So, oh, and before we get into this, as always, leave a like on the videos. Greatly appreciated. It'll help us out spreading the word. Subscribe. Road to 500 as well.
yep.
And of course, as you guys know, next week will be a live watch party for WrestleMania 41.
Both
Uh,
nights.
yeah,
It's gonna
both
be a
nights.
grind. Yep. We're gonna be a grinding next week. So
Yeah, but also I forgot about Stand and Deliver. So if anything, one of us might be on at 4. Because I think Stand and Deliver is at 4. So I might pull the double. I might pull the double.
I will probably shortly after.
Yeah, a little bit after. Because I think Mania is like
Probably.
if it's like 4 to 6, I think like Mania starts around 7. Yeah,
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 well, I mean, I probably like, I don't know. We'll see how I can
yeah,
adjust.
yeah. We'll see
Yeah.
how it plays out. But if anything,
Yeah.
it might be like a early swing into the Mania type of thing because I almost forgot about that being on like 2 to 3 hours
Right.
before.
It's gonna be next weekend's gonna be a grind, but we're gonna be live. We're gonna be on camera, so our ugly mugs is gonna be right there for you to see, and we're gonna have the show on. Obviously, no video
Yeah,
because
no visual.
copyright, but
Right.
audio and our reactions and commentary, like, so if you're not watching WrestleMania, or you can't, whichever.
You can watch it through us.
Tune on in and hear the show and
Yeah, it's
watch
gonna be
our
a
reaction. Yeah, it's gonna
it's
be,
gonna be it's gonna be a live what's good to Terry. That shit gonna be
and
crazy.
it's it's gonna be it could get a little nutty.
Could get well,
I know I shouldn't have said that after you mentioned Terry. I'm sorry, Terry. That's just doesn't sound right.
hey,
But
shit gonna get wicked. All right, let me stop. Lock in. Uh, all right, Friday Night SmackDown. They were in Seattle, right? Seattle, Washington.
Seattle, yep,
Yep. Uh, Nice city Seattle is. I'm not gonna lie.
always always a good crowd, always a active crowd, but unfortunately for them, they didn't get much to be
Yeah.
active about.
Yep. The content did not match the energy of a great city for grabs, if I do say so myself.
Mm.
Uh, yeah. So they had the opening segment with started off with Nick Aldis. Definitely looked a little disgruntled after taking his second RKO in 2 years, which was crazy when they thought about it. As far as when Randy gave him 100, did he give him 100,000 instead of 50,000 off rookie? He's like,
Yes,
bro,
yes, they
yeah,
called it back to where the first time he was fined 50,000 and Randy gave him 100 and say basically saying, you know, he didn't exactly say, well, this, why, when he did it, he said, oh, this is for the next one. It's basically, it was implied like,
kind
yeah,
of
it's
like a
for the, not,
foreshadowing, like you'll
there,
know when, but
inevitably there'll be another one. So I'm just going to yeah,
prepay, which
yep.
of course it happened. Um,
Hmm.
Basically Orton was just like pissed off, talking about something like, "Yo, like I'm trying to be nice about this. I want my match at Mania, and if I don't get a match, then your wife's not gonna forgive me for what I do to you again." And then, which is kind of crazy because at that point I'm like, like as much as I didn't care about if they put all this on the card, at that point, if you put all this on the card at this point, I probably wouldn't be as mad about it because Mickey's involved. They had like a mini segment where Nick Aldis was like, "I worked too damn hard to get here. If you're gonna be disrespecting me like that,
And he still
it's not fair."
and Nick still wrestles and wants to.
Exactly.
So and I know at some point last year there was an idea about doing it. If this is the time, if they got to throw something together, there's something there
Yeah.
at least. And
Like it,
Nick
yeah,
can go in the ring and maybe, and if this leads to like Nick being like a wrestler again
that would be it.
and SmackDown gets a new general manager, I know who it should be. No,
Hey,
not Mickey. Not Mickey. No. Regal, bruh. Regal.
Re-
Regal.
uh, dang, I forgot Regal resigned.
Yeah, they got Regal back. Like, Regal's arguably the best general manager they've ever had since they've done this general manager thing. It should be Regal.
Yeah,
That hits.
I can see that. Or is he like a trainer now or some stuff? Like he's like full time or
I
something.
think he's at the PC, but I think if they came to him with the GM role, I don't see why.
Yeah. Plus, he's already done Raw, so I mean, SmackDown would be like the next show he could probably do. He did Raw
I
for
mean,
like
he.
a couple months, not a couple years. Then he did NXT.
I would not. SmackDown going back to 2 hours in a couple months with Regal as a GM, Aldis as a regular on-air wrestler and he's good in
That
the
could work.
ring and connect. Yeah.
And then we can get the British Invasion Part 2.
Hmm.
Hey, Nick Aldis is the company champion. William Regal save it as a. Hey, that's some TNA shit I just said. I don't know why I even brought
I
that
don't
up.
know. Aldis maybe more like U.S. title, but okay.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, who knows? I mean, cause I don't know. Cause I feel like Nick. If anything, Nick wrestles a similar style to Orton. Like he pretty safe for the most part. So yeah, all depends on what they want. But so after that, Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga come out. Threw me off for a loop because as far as Orton just like while in the midst of Orton saying, I want my match, Solo's basically like, you know what, you're the past. Ain't nobody came out here to see you cry and complain about your match because Jacob Fatu finna beat LA Knight at Mania next week. Basically hyping his boy up, but also saying that Orton's washed. Orton starts having he starts popping off talking about some, you know what? Like you come out here, you want to interrupt me and shit. The voices are talking to me, and they want both of y'all to get in this ring so I can give y'all these hands. They start scrapping. LA Knight comes out. It ends up turning into what the main event was a tag match,
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah,
Hmm.
so got a tag match out of it. The opener kind of started off with more intrigue than what it ended with, but I mean, not much really
And
to
I
like.
and I hope it's not. I hope that's not what they're doing. Is like throwing together Orton and Solo just for the hell of it.
Yeah,
Because I'm assuming the Solo Jacob thing is going to be, if not at Mania, like right after, where like that's going to be it, and then I think presumably it seems to be setting up maybe Backlash like Solo Jacob. If you're going to keep dropping Solo and everybody's just going to beat him, then what's the point of having an eventual match with him and Jacob? Because nobody's going to buy into it. Nobody's going to buy that Solo could even touch him, much less beat him. So like, if this is the route they're going, what's the point?
I mean it depends. I mean, I feel like with Solo, it's always a thing of where it's like he's very much like he's fairly protected. It's just that he just gets like I feel like this whole thing is like at that point, like since he started talking more, they just make him like he takes his eye off the ball. Because I feel like in most matches, he's on top of shit, but it's like for the most like at some point randomly like he just starts getting like overconfident. He takes too long, like kind of like rookie stuff. Even though he's been on the main roster for like what 2 to 3 years now, 2 years.
Solo, like, realistically, when was the last time Solo by in a single type? When was the last time he had a meaningful win? Because it seems like every time he's in a meaningful match, he loses. The last time he was in a meaningful match, he lost. I mean, yeah, it's Roman, of course. It was a tribal combat. He lost, but like,
but even in that match, like that was one of Solo's best singles matches up to that
oh,
point.
agreed. But it's like he lost.
Yeah, but it's like
He's
Solo.
he,
Yeah, but it's like it's a difference between like Solo getting like it's a difference between him getting dusted and then him just like losing to people that are technically, I guess, in storyline better than him, or like they just have way more years of experience on him to where he might see cracks in the armor and start showboating, and then while they see cracks in the armor, they just do it, like they just attack. And
I'm just saying Solo should be a bigger deal than he is because he's good, but he's just not beating anybody.
yeah,
And
it's kind of the same thing with Theory. Like at some point, Theory was having like great matches with people, but they play the naivety role. Where I feel like that's what they do with most of the roster. Like anybody that's like early 20s, whatever, they just get distracted a lot. And I feel like at that point, it's a very kind of like vague thing to do because I don't think Orton was getting that type of booking when he was like 24, right?
no, he was champion.
Yeah, but I say like he beat Benoit, so it's like that's what it's like. If we're acting like oh, youth is naivety, or like oh, some guys just can't keep their eye on the ball. This man won a championship. He's the
Well,
youngest Jacob of all time.
his naive moment was the night after he won the title. He
Oh yeah,
got
the celebration where he thought they were
elevation,
friends.
yeah,
Yeah,
evolution turned on him. That
yeah.
was his naive. That was his naive moment. But I'm just saying, like Solo is really good, and it's like every time you put him in a good, a deep, match, a meaningful match, he loses. So
Yeah.
what does it do for? What does
The
it
only major
do?
match he's had was like the Cena one, but even then it was like, did it really
Well,
count?
I mean, he did pummel Cena and win, so I mean, it does count. But like since then, when was the last time he had a singles match of note that he won? And he was playing like he was the tribal chief, and I'm not sure where they're going with him now, but like
Well, I think now
he's
I think
still.
now he's trying to just regain trust with Jacob, even though that ship has sailed. But
I'm just saying I don't think it doesn't do anything for him to be hastily thrown into a match with Orton at Mania, so that Orton's on Mania, and I guess technically he's on Mania, but he loses because inevitably we know we're gonna get Solo and Jacob, and he ain't beating Jacob. So like, where does that leave him at that point? Kind of an afterthought to a degree.
I mean, if Solo turns face, it all depends. I mean, because I was like, I
It's
don't
I
think he's
get maybe
I don't think he's beating Jacob, but at the same time, it's like I feel like that's basically what like they're just playing like the long game with him, which is very very
if
bad. Because I don't think the
if
matches are gonna be bad, but
if Jacob's gonna have if Jacob's gonna have his own sort of pseudo bloodline, because obviously the bloodline in general has been tabled, but for now, but
basically,
If Jacob's gonna lead his own little group, I don't know when uh Tongaloa is gonna be back. I'm not sure about that exactly.
oh, and
Um,
Hikuleo started in NXT by the way. They they broke some story. They broke story about it where they said he's his debut is set and apparently he's gonna get a push. The push part I don't know about that, but apparently he started in NXT first. So him and
but if
Lance are
Jacob's
kind of off
gonna,
the table.
but if Jacob's gonna have like split and have like his own little bloodline-ish group, which I'm assuming is going to be include the Tongans and then him or Zilla or whoever,
I think
and
it might be a minute before they call Zilla.
and Solo is kind of like lost and like the story is Solo is lost and whatever it is, and then like he at least like in story sort of like gets back with Roman. Like Roman, maybe I don't know how this is gonna play out, but because we haven't done the prediction yet, so but let's like chop shop on it. Like if Roman loses his wise man, then the story could be where like Solo is lost and goes back to Roman and then works his way back to like being on Roman's side. Then I'm not saying like every time Roman shows up, Solo walks out with him, but he could and he could be Roman's like, you know,
But at that point, wouldn't
enforcer.
it be kind of? It's like as much as I would kind of want to see like I guess like a mutual like I guess agreement between the two. I feel like with the amount of progress Solo has made, it would kind of just be a slap in his face to just make him go back to being like a stoic background character.
Well, no, I'm not saying it necessarily that, but like, go back to Roman as far as like the family goes, where it's like if Roman's in trouble, Solo will help, but their family, just like, because Jimmy's on SmackDown for now, and, if Roman got into trouble, Jimmy would help because they're family, so Solo would be like part of the family again, at least to that degree, he would be part of the family again. I'm not saying he would have to like Raw every time Roman comes out, but they could make it like if Roman loses his wise man and he's lost, then he would need, he might need family to sort of like bring him back into that, put him back into that headspace again. And I wouldn't hate it.
But also at that point, I feel like at this point, which is like one thing that I can only that's like one of the only bright spots I can say about what they've done with the bloodline. Like if you look at like the landscape of like what everybody has done individually, Sammy's grown from that heel arc that he had to where like now he's actually wrestling again. Jay's grown from being a mentally manipulated crash out to potentially a world champion or inevitably a world champion.
Hmm.
Jimmy went from being the brother that they mistake for Jay to being a potential singles champion. Solo went from being a street fighter to a leader. It's like at that point, I feel like they've all grown so much to where it's like
Jimmy should
potentially
be a
like
Jimmy
yeah.
should be a singles champion because you can argue. I don't know how many people would agree, but you can argue that both in the ring and on the mic, Jimmy's better than Jay.
I say yeah. Jimmy's better on the mic. I feel like in the ring they're not identical, but I feel like they're like dang they're on the same level.
I think Jimmy. Well, I mean, Jimmy was better. Well, how about that?
Yeah, but
Jimmy was.
if it was like in the past, I would have gave it to Jimmy for sure. Because at one point, Jimmy was carrying the team essentially, like ring wise, and like Jay just had like more energy and more emotion, which kind of like was like, oh, like they both have their things. But now it's kind of like they both do like the little Rikishi arm like little rotation dance thing. They all do this. They both do kicks, the splash. Like they're almost similar in moveset at this point. So it's like a toss up, whichever
Jimmy's
one people like.
Jimmy's Jimmy's good and Jimmy's good enough to be like, you know, like a U.S. champion and be in the ring with the bigger names and hold his own for
Yeah.
sure.
Like if Jimmy gets booked against Drew McIntyre, no one's gonna be like, why is he in the ring? Like they're gonna be like, oh, Jimmy and Drew, I like that. Like at one point there
Well,
was a time where like Jay was in the ring with big names before all this happened, where they was like, Jay's in the ring with Kevin Owens. What's going on? Like it wasn't
I
ain't gonna be
mean,
that type of thing.
Jimmy not long ago was in the ring with Drew, and it was fine. Like it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying like when Jimmy was in the when Jimmy like, even like before that when Jimmy was in the ring with big time names, it wasn't like people were surprised because they knew Jimmy could do it. At one point, Jay had to earn had to earn the way into like getting in the ring with certain people, especially during the pandemic when
I
Jimmy was
mean,
hurt.
technically, not that long ago. I know it was like a roll up, but Jimmy beat Drew.
Yeah,
If memory serves, he beat Drew.
yeah. But it's like one of these like I don't know. It's like at this point, because I think people have kind of been saying that like, oh, the bloodline's kind of fizzling, which it definitely is. Because at this point, it's like
Well, it's.
with
I
the
think it's been tabled for now. It's coming. It's coming back.
I mean, but even then, it's
They
like
still.
realistic. It's like with the lay of the land, do they really need the bloodline?
I need no. Um, Not necessarily, but if you're inevitably getting, I would assume, Rock and Roman, everybody should know that the Bloodline 2.0 was The Rock pulling the strings. It's the easiest way to tell that story, to rekindle at least a temporary Bloodline feud with Roman and Rock, or Roman and Rock with, like, even Jacob as, like, his, regular, like, centerpiece, where Roman and Jacob feud leading into Roman Rock. I mean, at least temporarily you can resurrect that, revealing The Rock as, like, as the behind the whole Bloodline 2.0 when Roman was gone, and the leading and all that stuff that happened before, where The Rock was the one that masterminded the whole thing, because that's what everybody thought, or everybody should have thought, because that's kind of what it felt like. Um, so at least you could, as a temporary thing, to build towards Rock and Roman, maybe I would assume next year, Mania 42, you could rekindle it at least for a little bit. Sure,
I
the
mean, but at that
players
point,
are
it's like,
there, and
yeah,
the
but at that
players
point, it's
can be coming.
yeah, but at that point, it's like, I feel like it's kind of the same thing with like certain, I don't know, I just feel like certain characters is like, I just can't believe Rock having control over Jacob. Because Solo didn't have control over Jacob. And they're dang near around the same age. And it's like at that point, like, granted, Rock is like, I guess, high chief, quote unquote. But I don't think Jacob would really like care about, because obviously as far as like how they hyped it up, talking about like, oh, he's like the black sheep. We don't invite him to shit, even though they do. But like they're like, oh, but he's the black sheep. We don't invite him to nothing. We technically forgot he was in the family, even though he has last name ties and everything like that. Like with all that stuff that they went into with it, I feel like The Rock would also kind of forget that, like, he's in the family or something like that.
But maybe
They,
but Rock doing it, he did that on purpose because of how, like, quote unquote unhinged Jacob is, and it made it perfect. And if you have Jacob on TV, at least until now, until recently, you have Jacob following Solo and doing what Solo wanted, and the prayer hands and I love you Solo and all that crap. Would it really be that difficult to believe that if The Rock was the one pulling the strings, The Rock is that big of a deal that Jacob would go along with what Rock wants, at least for a while? I mean,
it's,
no, not really.
I mean, because like with Jacob, it's like I feel like it was more or less like because Solo is the reason that Jacob's in WWE, right? Like as far as like storyline wise, he brought the outlier to the family to the company because the family didn't want them in the company. For that, I understand the like entitled loyalty. Once Solo left and Jacob had no like they had no leaders, they started to grow and they started to flourish, or at least Jacob in this case. Jacob started to grow and flourish and was like, hmm, you expect me to still be loyal to you after you left me to fend for myself after you lost to Ulafala. And it's like at that
Well,
point, it's like I don't think I think Jacob's probably like at least if they wanted to play like like they're wild animals essentially. I'd rather have that than oh they have another master or they have another chief. It's like at this point
it's not too much. It's they're doing it under the premise of, like, The Rock put the whole thing together, so The Rock is the one that's giving them the excuse and the carte blanche to do what they want and run wild and destroy people. And Jacob can be Jacob because he's got backing from the board of directors and the high chief. Like, what he's doing is, with as far as the family is concerned, is quote unquote okay because the high chief is letting him do it. He unleashed them. Like, he told Solo to bring them in to cause the chaos and build the bloodline up so they could be better than they were before, because Roman disappointed him, and Rock's the one that did it himself. I'm not saying, like, Rock is mind controlling Jacob and points and Jacob does, but for storyline purposes, like, the reason that Solo got them was because of The Rock. Rock said, do that because Roman disappointed me, and the bloodline needs to be better and bigger and scarier or whatever it might be. And behind the scenes, it's The Rock that put it all together. And then once you get to the story where you rekindle the bloodline thing, Jacob's actually leading because Rock's hardly ever shows up, but on TV, Jacob leads the group, but The Rock is sort of like overseeing the whole thing, and then that would work its way into like another bloodline feud. But you don't have to have all the same people. You've got other family members who could be involved in this, and then you know it could be, I don't know, Roman
But yeah,
soloed Jimmy and somebody new
yeah.
against that group, and then The Rock helps Jacob's team win because he's been behind the whole thing, and that just sort of helps to build to the crescendo of Rock and Roman.
But it's like at this point, it's like I feel like at least if anything, if I had to assume, or if I had to like give like a thought process to it, the bloodline has been in what like three of the last few War Games matches in some form of capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Because like they fought a team that had like I think it was like Kevin Owens and I forgot what the first one was, but that was one where like Sammy pledged his allegiance basically. Then they had I think it was like a Judgment Day thing or whatever. I think maybe I'm tweaking. No, that was a different one. They had the new bloodline versus the OG. I could swear they were in like three. I don't know. I could be tweaking, but it's like
No, yeah, the last one was like the Bloodline Civil War. The one before that was um not, because that
oh
was the one before that was what was Orton and Punk returning.
yeah, that was like I knew Jay was in it. That's why it made me think it was bloodline related, but it was just basically Raw versus the Judgment Day essentially, with Drew McIntyre thrown in it. I think.
Yeah, because it was like Randy, Seth, Sammy,
Yeah, Randy, Seth, Sammy, and Jay, Cody.
Jay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, but it's like at that point. Well, but in this case, Jay's been in the last three. Overall, basically, some type of bloodline tie has been connected within either one or two of the other ones. At this stage, I feel like if they just really wanted to be like, oh, like head to head battle of the Samoans, that sounds crazy. But like head to head High Chief versus Tribal Chief, Rock, I feel like Rock can be disappointed without like a stable, basically. I mean, like he worked for TKO, so at this point, it's like if Rock just showed up and was like, "Yo, like Roman, you pissed me off when you lost that belt. Nah, I'm gonna have to beat your ass." If he just came out on some stuff like that, where it's like not in that term, basically, but if he was like, you brought dishonor to the family. I came back and backed you. It was supposed to be us in the first place, but you didn't even fight for it. Like he could. There's a lot of ways they could build up to Rock Roman and just kind of like not like have a clean slate, but if that's like the implosion to the whole thing, where like okay, everybody just does their own thing. Like if Roman wins, he's probably the face of the family or the new face of the family because it was Rock for so many years initially. If they do it like that, and it's all right. Well, bet now everybody does their own thing, or like if Roman runs into
I
Jacob, it'll happen.
I guess, but you could at least make mention. It would have to at least make mention of like bringing in like the renegades of the family or whatever it is to take over as the bloodline because Roman disappointed and lost and then disappeared and the bloodline sort of shattered. You could at least make mention of the fact that, you know, the okay to bring them in, Solo got the okay to bring them in and for them to do their thing from him. Like he okayed it. He made it happen. At least mention he made it happen.
But at
So
that
that
point though, but if that's the case, why would he have to go get Cena, or why did he want Cody? If the plan was to have family
because it didn't work.
domination,
Because it
yeah,
didn't
like
work.
yeah, so like at that point it would be like okay, like maybe like oh like I mean, if they could play it like that, but at that point, it's like they probably have to do
But
it to
it
where, oh, like say
but it
like Rock was
adds
like, oh, I wanted family domination, that didn't work. He wanted Cody, that didn't work. He wanted Cena to work, that didn't work
but
either.
but you could still say he could still bring up the fact that it happened because he allowed it to happen, which would be like getting into Roman's head. Like, why would you do that to me? That and would at least add more. You know,
Yeah, or at least it'd be fair because I mean, Rock was around with Haku, so I mean, technically, and if they wanted to really like do the whole like oh like let's backtrack to years ago before Roman was even really a thing. Rock was with Haku and Rikishi and all. Like if they really want to like peel back layers and shit, they can. But it's like I don't know. It's like probably specific ways they really would have to do it. It would probably still work depending on like because it's The Rock, but they got some ways to make it happen.
yeah, I just don't think like basically. I just don't think Rock just kind of like randomly screwing Roman does it. You have to include the family somehow. I think him just mentioning the fact that Solo brought the Renegades in against their family's permission, but
Oh, I forgot.
technically
Uh
technically
huh.
he got permission from The Rock. He can at least say that because then that adds to intrigue. Because then Roman's like, why would you do? In Roman's head, it could be like, why would you do that? Why would you do that to me? Whatever it is, and that helps be the catalyst for the eventual match. But you don't necessarily technically have to do all the family involved and Bloodline Civil War Part Two. You could, but just mentioning that fact would get in Roman's head. Like you did it.
But
It
I mean but I
wasn't
mean but,
Solo. It
but I
was
mean
you.
but I mean also the major one would be like Rock got speared in Philly.
I mean, yeah,
Cause,
accidental, but
I mean, but technically, I mean, like the Rock got speared in Philly. The next night when they did I think that was like night one he got speared, and that's what led to the loss and everything. Then night two, really when Rock came out, I don't like at that point it was like Rock was solely focused on beating Cody's ass. He wasn't. I don't even think at that point he was really out there really helping Roman. It was more or less about him beating Cody's ass because he didn't like how Cody was talking to him. And even then after that, they haven't had any engagement really. Even with The Rock going as far as I'm playing mind games with Cody because I'm so moved on from what the family's doing. So it could be one of them things where it's like maybe like I feel like Rock could be playing the long game for sure. But if anything, it could just be like, oh, I got speared by Roman. I never forgot. I've been focused on Cody this entire time, and then like when the time is right, boom, they pull the
yeah,
trigger. I guess
maybe.
on like Rock Roman probably. There's a lot of ways they can
Uh,
do it though, for sure. Yeah. It would be a very, 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 very interesting. I don't know. I feel like the bloodline kind of like it's like how people say the Judgment Day ran its course. I feel like at this point the whole because they were like the fifth inning what last year
what?
like of the bloodline story. I think like Heyman and them said they were in like the fifth inning or something with the story.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't think it's dead. I just think it's tabled for
Yeah,
now. I think it's coming back, but you don't have to have all the original players in it to do it again, or at least in a microcosm, like over the course of a few months or something like that. Like you don't have to play it out over another 4 years. Of course, I'm not saying that at all, but
yeah,
it's not dead, and you can do it without all the original players and have you know again, I'm brain farting, but there's another Samoan coming in. There could, Bronson Reed could be in this. Like I said, you got Zilla, you got Hikaleo, there's Jacob and the Tongans. Like you could have like a couple of the original players, but then add the new faces to this, and at least like briefly, you could have another like catalyst to the Bloodline Civil War, and it would certainly make for better television than we get normally on SmackDown. Obviously, changes could be made, and SmackDown's going back to 2 hours so that you can fine tune your product. But they're going to go back to that well at some point, even temporarily, because it's not done. There's just too many more family members. It was good TV. We don't know who's going to be champion going forward or how or what. We don't know.
Yeah.
The only thing we really know is like Rock and Roman's probably going to happen. And before, I don't know if it's going to be before or after, but obviously they've planted enough seeds, Roman and Jacob. Now, if you really want to make Jacob the guy, or like a guy, like world title type guy, he beats Roman. But like again, we're far ahead. We're sort of overbooking the future. So
Yeah. So what happens to that? Oh, women's tag team title, number one contenders gauntlet. I'm not gonna run out of teams because I mean the match wasn't
no, because
that long anyway.
they were all 2 minutes except for
Secret
the
Service.
the Secret Service and no surprise team and okay, like the
I
last
mean,
more was good.
more or less the team that I thought was gonna win one, and I know why.
Yes,
So
and the last part, like the Lyra and Bailey against the Hervis,
that was good.
for the time they got, it banged. Like
It was
Lyra
like
and
yeah, like
Bailey
yeah.
worked together as a team. Nobody flubbed anything, and like you know, Lyra was in a groove. Like they were. It was good. It was good.
I mean,
I
it's not
don't think
like
they're
I mean,
winning.
none of the women in the match are like bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just
No,
like
but
yeah.
nobody got any time except for the Hervis.
Wait, I mean, yeah, they
Like
were
it was,
last, but really only
but
one team kind of deserved it, and it probably would have been them to be honest.
yeah. I mean, obviously Lyra and Bailey aren't going to win. But
Yeah, I'm saying, but like, as far as like in that match, as far as like, I mean, PFC hadn't been on TV in months. Caden and Carter was the smallest team in
this is
there.
headed. This is headed toward. No, this is leading to a Bailey heel turn.
Yeah. I pretty much said that. I think the Raw one. I think.
Well, I'm convinced now. I might not have been 100% convinced at that moment, but I'm convinced now. This is leading to a Bailey heel turn.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like like as far as like the writing, like as far as like her not wanting to shake hands after she lost like that rematch basically, the writing was on the wall. But more or less, after you realize like what the lay of the land was, you can. It's almost the most not unpredictable, but like it's almost the most predictable way to like call like a Mania match because obviously Liv and Raquel they're probably gonna get moved anyway. If I had to assume, or just the fact that like they're gonna be champions for a while, you could kind of have that cross with them and the Wyatts if they wanted to still do that. And
I think they're going to do that.
yeah, so like at that point, it's like if they do that to where it's like okay, like they can have a lengthy story kind of just until like and they can still keep it going because I mean obviously the women's titles can go anywhere, so depending on what they want to do with that, they could still do it and just keep them on Raw if they were to. Because I still think Dom is winning at Mania as well, so that would restrict
Well,
them
the
from Raw
Judgment
for a
Day
little bit.
is going to be new, and I think the girls are going to stay in at least for a while.
Yeah,
But a Bailey heel turn and and Bailey taking the belt off of Lyra. Lyra can chase, and if they do things right, if you really want Lyra over because you need to get her over, then you have Lyra do more talking, you have more intensity, and you have Lyra chase the veteran Bailey for the belt. And if, depending on how the call up really goes and like who goes where, at that point you could have Roxanne in the mix too, and then you got something.
At that point, I think Lyra moves up. To be honest with you, because if I'm being honest, like
Maybe.
I mean, because I like for her, like if it was a situation like Michin where it was like she was in the first like crowning match and then she didn't win, the chase would be good. But she was the first champion, technically, historically wise, she has the longest reign since she's the only one to hold it. I feel like booking wise though, they have kind of like dropped the ball as far as the amount of people they could throw at her, which makes the reign not forgettable, but it kind of puts a question mark on it because when she's in the ring, I don't think Lyra really has like bad matches. It's just they overbooked the main women's title to where the secondary title has nobody in it.
Well, yeah, but they haven't done enough like with her character and her as an individual person for her to be that over with the crowd to like for the crowd to like really root for her.
I mean, I
But
mean,
I
I
think
mean,
if you,
I mean, as much as I like Io, I mean, is there really any like? Do you really have any plot armor with her? Like Io really Io has like as much as I love her, she hasn't had as much character development outside of like her being in stables to a similar degree as Lyra, but
I think yeah,
Io puts on good matches and she's great in the ring.
I guess technically like revisionist history is just she's been around longer and
Yeah,
Lyra hasn't, and it's a new regime.
well in on the main roster, yeah, because she was in UK around the same time as Ripley, I think, or a little bit after maybe like Rhea left, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm just saying for the sake of like now, like Lyra needs to talk more and talk with some intensity and like say things that like the that resonate with the crowd enough to where she's as over as she should be, you know, like because organically it's not really working. But I think if like Bailey turns on her and beats her for the IC title, and Lyra chases, and you get more intense Lyra, and you get Lyra talking some shit, and you know things something like that, like kind of booking 101, then you know you would get more crowd investment in not only her the character, but her the person, and her in ring, because obviously she's got that. And then if she inevitably takes it back from Bailey, it makes the belt better. It values the belt more. It She's way up higher on the totem pole as a character and as a person, because then the fans would get behind her, and then you could have you know Roxanne next, if they unless they want Roxanne like immediately in the main picture, but I don't think so.
I'm
It
not like
depends
yeah,
who
yeah,
wins.
sometimes like, to your point, it's like as far as if they want to do Bailey Roxanne, I feel like that has to be mid. I feel like that would make more sense as a mid card type of thing.
No,
I
but
feel like,
if like if
I feel
but
like
if
eventually like
Becky's
Roxanne's gonna start from the bottom.
but if Becky comes back,
She'll probably be for the
well,
IC.
maybe
I mean,
maybe eventually,
I mean, cause she's won every belt but that.
but I don't know if like initially that's what she's going to do. And if Bianca wins, then Bianca, if she wins, this is a hypothetical. If Bianca wins, she's on Raw. You got Rhea, Bianca, Io, possibly Becky temporarily. We don't know who else is getting called up to the main roster, but if you told me that that was going to be like your main event for a little bit, and then like your mid card was Bailey, Lyra, Roxanne, you know, insert whatever, maybe, if Becky wants her title, she doesn't get it, but then it leads into her, saying, well, now that there's a title I haven't won, I'll go after that. Then all of a sudden that division is heat, and I'm here for it.
because I feel like Becky coming back from, because I feel like even with Alexa Bliss more or less, which is why I kind of didn't. I like what they did with her at Chamber, because she looked good, but obviously we knew she wasn't winning. It's like her coming back from like her being like a, not like a mom, but I think it was like injury too. It was like her being injured, either her being injured for a
It,
little bit, or like
it
her
was
being like a
both.
mom. Yeah,
It was both.
yeah, like stuff like that. I feel like if they bring her back, the best bet would probably just be to like put her in the lower. Because I feel like her and Bailey at this point, like same thing with Charlotte, they've done everything. At this point, if you have them competing for lower ranked belts or like mid card belts that technically, due to them being as good as they are, there's a reason why they even have the belts in the first place. If they want to make the belts even, like have the new up and comers elevate the main belt, because obviously you got people that have like 16 freaking, not 16, 15 title reigns and won every belt at least 4 different times. It's like at that point, if you're beefing up the mid card title, obviously the women that they're wrestling with are gonna get better. Because if it's like, say, Bailey and Ivy, or like Becky and Ivy, or Maxine and Becky, or something, like, they're gonna get better by being in the ring with them, which boosts the main title up, because like, okay, well now this is technically like a workhorse slash prove yourself belt, which is what it is for the men. So
Well, yeah, as it should be.
yeah, so it's like, because like basically for the men, it's like the IC title is a launching pad. Most people, after they drop that IC title, they go for the main title. So that's kind of why I'm thinking, like, at least in Lyra's case, her winning it and holding it for as long as she has, she gonna get boosted. And then it's like at that point you get her and Rhea, her and Io, maybe her and Bianca, depending on like if like she wins and somebody
You
swaps.
could. I mean, I would be okay with it if Bailey takes it from her as a heel, and then you got, you know,
Yeah, and then like you can still have the
Bailey.
Roxanne and Bailey thing, because then Roxanne can't be a face
Yes,
because she was a face for
and
like.
then
Uh,
and then yeah, get kick that feud up. I wouldn't have a problem with that.
but the thing with Roxanne is that like I feel like she has too many sub stories. It's like Bailey's on Raw, but at that point it's like, okay, Roxanne could be a face. Like Roxanne could be a face in that, but it's like that shifts the dynamic a little bit. But it's like also like tonight, well not tonight, but like on the SmackDown, she was beefing with Tiffany, which honestly I rather in a way see that post Mania than her and Bailey.
Well, and that very well may be the case. We don't know.
Yeah, like because I like once they did that, I was looking at my screen. I'm like, damn, like Tiffany and Roxanne, I'm like
Well, we what we
they
do
got some
know
history.
what we do know is in the next 6 months, Roxanne, Jordan, Stephanie, and Julia are all main roster.
Yeah, at least
So they're
at least the way it's looking right now, and maybe the
yeah,
metaphor.
maybe if what we think is correct. Yeah.
Yeah, even besides that, because they need it, they need it bad. I didn't
Hmm.
realize like how many women aren't on the card most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, for as meh as the most of this gauntlet was, at least we got a lot of women on the show tonight.
Yeah, Maxine finally got back on TV after a period of time. It's
Yeah.
like people obviously, a lot of people kind of think that Alba's bad, but like most people don't really know that like Alba Fire and Piper are like really two of the best women
Good.
they have. Yeah, like they're one
Good.
of
Yeah, like they're very good.
yeah, like two of the best women they have on the roster that just don't get no
Well,
time, no story. It's like
well, they got it. They got it.
yeah, so it's like
At least once they got it. Yeah.
yeah. Which now that I think about it, maybe the tag team titles, like in a way, I feel like if the rosters had more women, 'cause I feel like NXT has like dang near the bulk of like the women's roster that WWE like really needs to like make the belts like have variety in competitors. But it's like I don't know. I just feel like they have so many people that could be like singles worthy people and just really like beef up the mid card,
But that's
like
that's
in the
the
US title
that's
scene, Alba and Piper could be in that.
that's the problem with the main roster is that NXT's got a lot of
They got a
really
lot of
good,
talent. Yeah.
but the problem is the main roster's got a lot of talent. They're not using them. They're not giving them character and story and reason for the fans to like get invested in them, but they're just there. They could be
Yeah,
on the same level as some of them could be on the same level as like the bigger names, but or at least kind
if
of on the
not
same
bigger.
level,
Yeah,
but they're just not doing it. They're just not
yeah.
doing it.
Like
You
you get
said
like yeah,
Alba
Alba
and
Piper.
Piper are really good. Honestly, Mia's very good in the ring, but like they just
Yeah,
sort of
they
waste.
don't
They
really
just sort
work
of
with her either.
no, they just wasted her.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Shoot, Ivy Nile is
Ivy Niles
Ivy.
good.
Yeah. Ivy got a lot better for sure. Uh,
Yeah,
Kiana James has been injured, so and people forget she's on Raw. It's like I don't know. There's just so many things they could do better with the women. Obviously, I mean, no, I feel like the only things they've hit out of the park on is Liv, Rhea, Io, Tiffany. That's it.
and honestly, with Liv, it took quite a while, but
Yeah, but yeah,
with
at least with Liv, it's like we saw the journey. Like her beating Ronda was a big deal. Her beefing with Becky and Rhea was a big deal, and it was like you seen the progression from them just putting her on
and
TV.
and now and yeah, and now
She's one of the top women in the company, and it's
yeah,
like
Liv's
I feel
one of
like
my Liv's one of my favorites, and I don't mean this in a like weird dude way. I just mean in general, like as
no
a
freaky
fan.
way. Yeah, no freaky way.
No freaky stuff. Because honestly, Liv's not top five if we're gonna get like man freaky about it. Um,
Tight shit.
but just talk about like character and like her
Yeah, like
grinding
work.
and
Yeah.
her work. Liv has impressed the shit out of me in the last year or so, and she deserves her spot, and she's good, and she's one of my favorites.
And I feel like overall, it's like there's so many women that could like have that same type of leap that she
Sure.
had, as far as like just even if she's losing, put her in matches. Like, cause Liv at one point Liv was losing like a lot. I mean, it was like you kind of knew that like fans cared about Liv, but it was like okay, they didn't care too much about like oh, whether she wins or lose, I just want to see Liv on my TV. And then once you give her a big story where it's like boom, she's healed now, she's making waves, now she's champion. It's like oh dang, like Liv's really like that Oblivion's fire or like she had some type of new move she brought out, and I saw her training the move on social media, or whatever. They did it on TV. I'm like stuff like that. Like that's the stuff people really care about, the growth of the competitor. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, Lyra and Bailey won. I feel like now if they don't do the heel turn, I still don't think they're winning at Mania. I mean, or if they do, then it's like on some strange bedfellows, John Cena, Shawn Michaels, 2007. Yeah,
Uh,
they were beefing, but they were both faces, and then they won the tag belts for some reason, and then eventually like them losing sets up the same thing. I don't know. It could be that. I don't know. Uh, what's Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at my notes. Oh, 1 second. uh, so we had the wait, is it Bailey? Oh, that might have been street close. Uh, was it the Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre stuff after that?
yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, like they had like their kind of like had like the little promos talking about kind of the same thing as far like their rundown and stuff like that. Or no, the priest was coming out for a promo. That's what it was. And then because this will be the face to face to confirm their match, I guess at Mania, even though it is confirmed.
Yeah.
Uh, Priest came, not Priest. McIntyre came out and yeah, he beat the shit out of him for a little bit. Like he was hitting his head on the wall.
Yeah, the eye patch, she's fine, and yeah, the Sin City street fight, which will make the match better and add some intrigue to it,
Yeah,
where they could hopefully, you know,
yeah, but
like really get.
hopefully they sell the story of them hating each other, and it don't just be like a oh we're in a street fight, but it's not kind of like not to say that I want like them to be maimed, But it's like I feel like there's too many feuds they have now where it's supposed to be like, oh, like we hate each other, and then they do the match and it's like they're just wrestling, and it's like, how do you hate each other but you're doing headlocks? Like that doesn't make sense.
Well, hopefully
Yeah, hopefully,
that's
because
what
I mean,
we get.
yeah,
Hopefully we get an actual street fight.
yeah,
That's
because
a
like
that's what
because
they need to
the
do.
brawls have been good. To be honest, the brawls have been very good for the most part. Uh, I don't know. I was looking for something else. So I think after that it was Berto and Phoenix.
Yep.
Basically, Berto trying to prove himself to Santos. Uh, Phoenix really at this point, everybody at this point, if the 2 weeks just now doesn't show that like Phoenix is really one of them ones, I don't know what will. Uh, like he can have a
This was
match like
helpful. This was helpful in that regard because uh the styles were similar,
oh
so
for sure.
they could showcase what Phoenix can do more with someone like Humberto, and then you know now Legato's seems way more interesting because are they breaking up, but they're getting more TV time, and what's Andrade doing with all this?
Yeah,
Like,
I
is there
think
going to be so it's helped that as well.
yeah in that case
So
because like, obviously Phoenix is gonna win. It was another back and forth match. I think Phoenix had to make a comeback again, but obviously Santos kind of inevitably pushing Berto out of the group. Or at least like maybe it's not like Berto's being pushed out, but like Andrade is kind of like helping him realize like, hey, you used to be fighting for championships. You don't have to be taking this from him, which is very much true.
I mean,
So
he did say mind your own business, but that's just that's a story beat. But at least
yeah,
it's a story. At least it's a story.
yeah. And honestly, I think Andrade and Berto was a better team than I mean obviously him and Angel are family, so I'm not gonna make it seem like they don't work together. But it's like are they cousins?
I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I probably have to look into that in my free time or something. But I think they're cousins. So it's like I mean obviously like the ties are there, so they're not bad. But I feel like Andrade, I think it's like that short lived period that they had a tag team run, and it was bad. So it's like it's doable, or it would make sense if it's like Santos and Angel versus Andrade and Berto. That could bang.
Yeah,
Yeah, that could
with
definitely bang.
time, with
Right,
time.
yeah, with time and a story, and plus it would be way different than like some LWO stuff because at that point that's like there's like family lineage all over that match. They all I think at one point they all wore masks except for Angel. I don't know if Angel wore a mask, but you know, just get some good lucha libre tag action. Uh, what's after that? After that, oh the Tiffany Stratton stuff with they got disciplinary action. Now that part I missed.
Yeah, it was like because they didn't really like show it, but obviously the thing with the video posted online were the attack. To like
My what happened?
like the video that was posted online, because Triple H loves the online stuff and using that
Right.
social media stuff. Where Charlotte attacked Tiffany in the parking lot, and it's like, where do you want me? And then they played it like, well, Charlotte's been sent home, like disciplinary reasons, whatever it is, and then you know,
Yeah. And then I think they had like a little like encounter with Roxanne. Obviously that led to them having a match later. But
right?
yeah, kind of got that by earlier. I mean, Roxanne has so many like different directions to go in. I do feel like her as a heel would probably go good at least with the current landscape of the women's division
Hmm.
because there's a lot of like fanfare amongst the women now. Because the only real heel right now is like what Charlotte, like full blown.
I mean, I if you don't count Chelsea, I suppose, but
Well, yeah, as far as like main title, because I mean, I feel like eventually like Ryzen's
Yeah,
gonna like be Ryzen's gonna be up there with them dogs, and I think right now like they don't really have enough like. Well, at least until Jax gets back, my dog. But until Jax gets back, they don't really have that many um hateable
Na-
women.
well, Naomi, hopefully.
I want to have faith for that. Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
it could.
Naomi is relishing this, and she is killing it.
Oh yeah, you could tell she's definitely having fun with this because she's
Yes,
it's way more in depth than her last run. I will give her credit for that. Way more in depth.
she's yeah, she's doing great work.
Yeah. I
She
look.
is, she is.
She's probably been laughing with Jimmy if you think about it, like her laughing and shit. Her and Jim gotta be laughing because there's no way.
Maybe
Her and Jim gotta be laughing, and if that's the case, hey, she cooking. She cooking.
she.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah. Had another one of those ominous vignettes again. It's getting more visual aesthetic, I guess, but it's still like in flashes and stuff. Um, do you think Black comes back at Mania or the week after?
after
Yeah.
if they do some dumb shit where like Orton, you know, Aldis says Orton has an opponent for Mania, but it's not him, and it's not Solo, and it's Malachi. Alistair.
Oh, I heard about
I
that too.
it can't be though,
That would
because
I mean low key like because I remember they had a tweet where they said I remember when Alistair was doing the door thing.
mm,
Like I guess Randy at that time said like yo like I want to get in the ring with Alistair, and that was like what 2 3 years ago.
I mean, at some point you can do it, but you can't if you're gonna have Alistair come back at WrestleMania as like a mystery opponent for Randy. Who wins?
They could have it end in a draw.
I mean, supposedly, I guess, or a DQ or something like that. But realistically, you don't want Alistair to come back and then lose.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And it doesn't really make any sense for Randy to lose either. So,
But also, what if Okay, like hypothetically, what if Randy loses, right? But Alistair spits like black mist in his eyes, and then when Randy comes back, he's evil as hell.
well, he's already heading that path, but
I mean, like he's already heading that way, but it's like, what if like the mist is just like the last straw, and then he just comes back? Not like on some like, oh, like he has to have like the AEW black makeup and stuff. Not that far, but like say like the mist or like something Alistair does
it's just enough
pushes him over the edge. Yeah,
to where he's that like evil Viper, you
yeah,
know, legend killer Orton. I
yeah.
mean, I suppose, but in that scenario, if he comes back that way,
Cause at that point they both
based
become
on
heels. So
based on a possible prediction, I would prefer he do that later that weekend. Just saying.
to be honest, it can still kind of roll into that because I mean, technically, it would still be like depending on like what night it is, or if it's like night two and then later on in the night, it's like oh, like this is the culmination. It all can still work itself out, but I mean, realistically, I don't know. At this point, Randy probably at this point is probably he's one of the less like he's one of the superstars that doesn't really need that many reasons to turn heel at this point. Because you already been saying like voices in his ear and they get louder every week, so he could just wake up one day and
Yeah.
just kick somebody, and no one would really be like, "Oh, why is he doing this?" So,
Yeah.
but I also still hate that he acknowledges the voices because it's like it just makes it seem so much more cornier than it actually is. It's like I don't
Yeah.
know why they keep doing it.
He well, I think it's reminding people that what he was and what he's going to become. I don't think once he actually does it, he's going to say that.
Yeah, that's the
He's
thing though.
not.
It's like if Orton is Orton, right? Now I know they get new people every day. They get new fans every day, but if most people know about like Orton, the thing that made him like that damn good back then was because he didn't. The only thing he acknowledged was that he has anger issues. That was the only thing he gave. But every week he was beating somebody's ass. There was no talking, or if it was ominous talking, it wasn't like some, oh, the voices are telling me to kick Batista. No, like it was just like he did, like you saw it in his face, his mind was turning, and then the shit just happened. Like him coming out, we talking about some, yo, the voices are getting real loud today. It's like, bro, is he schizophrenic? Like, I mean, technically yes, but why are we admitting? Why are we going so forward with it?
I think it's Randy still doing that like in a babyface style as Orton can do because, you know, Orton's not the most babyface. He's not the most cookie cutter babyface when he is a babyface. So
That's
I think
probably
this
the
is
main
just
thing, yeah.
I think that's just like Randy trying to be in his own way. He's like being a babyface, but he's like slipping.
Yeah.
Like he's slipping into that like as you would say, like that sort of schizophrenic mode, and he's starting to show signs of it, but like he's trying to hold on to being a babyface, but it's coming.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most logical way I can think to look at it. Is as odd as it is that he's bringing it up now. It's probably like a
Like
mental
foreshadowing.
deteriorate. Yeah, a mental deterioration thing where he's starting to lose it.
Yeah.
That's why he's mentioning the voices because he's starting to lose it, obviously, with the RKO last week and then bringing up Mickey and what
Yeah.
basically saying, I'm gonna hurt you if you don't give me a match. So like they're bleeding it and they're blurring it into like he's slipping.
Yeah. So slowly but surely
And
it's gonna happen.
yeah,
Yeah. But that would be a good match. I don't know if they do it, but that would be if his debut's at Mania, or at least if it's the week after, people will still be happy. So
it
still
just
be good.
depends on what they're doing. It just depends on what they're doing with Alistair. Yeah, are they gonna move his misses to Raw and he goes to Raw and he's part of the Judgment Day thing? We don't know, or is he because
Yeah.
they're doing all these vignettes on SmackDown? Is he going to be SmackDown?
Yeah.
Which obviously with the couples thing and his wife is there, okay, but is he just going to be Alistair and no House of, or I'm fine with it if that's the case, but
Yeah.
then is he heel immediately? Is he, because he's back? Is he babyface for a wee bit,
Yeah.
and then
Could be a lot of but I don't know. I feel like, at least if I'm thinking about it, it's like it's since Phoenix's face. I feel like I kind of would like to see him have a proper heel run, because his last one was kind of, it didn't really have no payoff. Cause I mean, he had a match with Cesaro, I think, but that's like the only thing I remember. Or was it Biggie? I forgot which one it was. But yeah, it was like, yeah, like some type of payoff, but not like a full blown type of like run that
no,
would have made sense. So
no.
yeah,
Well, hopefully now, just like I said, we got the draft coming, and then like I said, we got
some
not
shakeups.
quite 2 months until SmackDown goes back to 2 hours, so it's going to be a more condensed show. So you're going to have,
Well, now they really
you
gotta
know,
write if that's the case.
well, yeah, but they also have to, but they're going to have more people to get TV time for, unless, with the draft and probably people being
Called
released,
oh yeah, released. Yeah.
like you switch play people around, like because Roman's not around all the time because of his schedule. Cena's not going to be around a lot. Cody might take time off. Like you might be moving people to SmackDown, but then you can move not all the main eventers necessarily from SmackDown to Raw, but you can move people over to Raw because Raw is a bigger show. It's a better
Yeah.
show and it's a longer show because Raw can push 3 hours whenever they feel like it. They've been hitting that like 2.5-ish mark, but they could go three if they want to, especially if they've got more story and they got more people. They can push closer to 3 hours and accommodate for that.
Probably.
And
Yeah.
then, so, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. It could very much vary. Very much could vary. Uh, what was after that? Zelina Vega versus Chelsea Green.
Ugh.
I don't
What
know what the plan was for this.
I it's to give probably. I wouldn't be surprised if they announced it for next week, but because they haven't yet. But
Yeah, which kind of goes
Zelina
back
wants a
to
title.
yeah,
Zelina wants a title shot, and then this is her way of earning one. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do it next week, although they haven't said it yet. But I
yeah,
wouldn't be surprised because it's not going to be on Mania, so
exactly.
you do it next week, and you sort of have like a besides like Cena being on the show, you have like, well,
We got
the
a
people
title
that aren't
match.
going to be on the people aren't going to be on Mania that people care about. That's their Mania is the night before.
Yeah, they're probably gonna
So
do like battle royals and stuff. I know they usually do that stuff because
the
it
Andre
makes
the
it that
Giant
much more
bat
fun.
the Andre the Giant Battle Royals next week.
Yeah, so like they're gonna do like they're gonna do their pre-show stuff on Friday, so that Saturday is just the meat and potatoes, and Sunday
Yep.
stuff like that. But because it kind of like, cause I remember we talked about it before we started, as far as me saying like, oh yeah, like none of the mid card titles for women are on Mania, and like I really thought about it once we got to this match. I'm like, maybe that's probably why, because they don't have a story that makes sense for Chelsea to be on the
And
card.
and and that's it, as much as they deserve to be, no question. There's
Oh
no
yeah,
story.
yeah, like Chelsea could definitely should have been on the main card. But the stuff with her and Zelina is just not adding up fan wise to make people want to see them on Mania.
But it's just that's kind of the point. It's like certain people should be on the card and certain things don't need to be on the card. But if you flip the coin, should Chelsea have a title match? Has she earned a title match in a WrestleMania shot, a spot? Absolutely. But for what?
Yeah,
There's no
like
there's
the
no
payoff basically.
sense just to be at WrestleMania is the same logic as like, well, like Logan is a draw. Logan is an attraction. He's more of a full timer now than he was. He's being paid well. He's good in the ring. He's good on the mic, except he's on the card in just sort of a thrown together match. So based on that same logic, you can't have Chelsea defend her title as much as she deserves it at WrestleMania when there's for what? Like
Yeah,
there's nothing there. There's no beef built up for her to have it as much as she deserves it. I'm not saying she does. Of course she does. Chelsea's doing great work right now. And obviously her group, they're all good in the ring. Of course, but there's no story. There's no beef at the moment.
yeah.
Now I could see one in the future.
Yeah.
I could see one in the future if Naomi gets help under the premise, you know, and the Jade thing finishes quicker than it might, right?
Yeah.
If Naomi doesn't go for like the women's title like right away, Naomi could go after the US and Naomi and her group, who we would like it to be metaphor, feud with the Chelsea and the Hervis, and Chelsea and the Hervis are the faces. I wouldn't hate that.
But Chelsea's so hateable though. Like in a
Yeah,
nice,
but
like
like,
she's so, like she's hateable in a nice way. I feel like it would be. I feel like, like I'm
but
not gonna
she's
lie,
hateful.
it probably would be good, but it's like I feel like people cheer her because she's so good at being annoying. I don't think she would make a good
But
face.
that's how she could slowly turn face because like she's hateful to the point of being enjoyable and people like it.
I mean, yeah, but it's like
I'm
it's
not
like the same.
I'm not saying it's like
It's
Austin,
like when
but it's
KO.
like
Yeah, it's like when KO turns heel. It's like people cheer KO because KO was so like heinous that it's likable. But he can also do both. But with Chelsea, it's like people like how good she is at making people dislike her, so they start cheering because it's like, oh, she's so over the top, she's so ditzy, and all this other stuff. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen her have a good face run in any company that I can recall. Like I could be definitely selling her short, but I don't think I could think of a time where like, okay, yeah, she was face and people were like really liking it.
There's a way to do it.
Yeah, it could be a workaround. Man, it would be different because I mean, there's not really many three women stable feuds in recent memory that I could think of.
She could be like hateful and almost like psychotically hateful, but because it needs to match the psychotic nature of Naomi and her group. So Chelsea's going to be offended and hateful and whatever it is, but more like in a tweener way, and the crowd's going to be behind her. Period.
I feel like
And her group.
if they put them against each other, she has to say the same.
Well, I mean, but they could at least for that they could tweak it where she's like offended and more hateful because like how dare you come after me, like you're a crazy person, whatever it is. It would work.
I mean, yeah, but at that point, it's like that was still like I feel like that's more or less like in the same realm as far as just because like right now, like I feel like the way it is, she could probably feud with Naomi and still have it be comedic, or at least I feel like at that point it's like they have to have multiple layers and characters because it's like even like with Jade, like Jade fully hasn't like gone off the rocker yet. Jade just wants to give her hands. And I feel like at that point, you kind of have to have one person where it's like, okay, like I'm just legitimately focused on beating you up rather than all the like the theatrics and stuff. Which in this case, Naomi has it covered.
Um, yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
but
I look at Chelsea like the Hurricane. like, I feel like
I just don't.
I feel like Hurricane was never really serious. Or like the closest it got to it was when he fought The Rock. That might
I
have
just
been the
don't think
closest.
in that feud, if Naomi's has a group, if it's metaphor, and the way Naomi is doing things right now,
Yeah.
that Chelsea being like too comedic, like would fit it. Like there could be moments, but it would have to be like toned down a little.
But at that point, though, I mean, I feel like it. I feel like it would work as more or less like, say, for example, like if you think about it, if Naomi is off her rocker, at that point, if you go there with her, then essentially it basically means Naomi's winning the championship because she's already won the mind game aspect. Which is why I think Jade's winning at Mania because it's like at that point she hasn't really fallen into the mind games of you took my friend, I'm better than you, you didn't deserve any of this. It's more or less just like Jade's like, oh, you're jealous and I'm new and I got aura and all this stuff. Like basically she's just basically saying like, oh, Naomi, you're just jealous. I'm beating that ass. Like she's not letting Naomi like get in her head to where it's like, okay, like if she's in my head, she won already. Which I feel like at that point Chelsea is probably the counterpart to that, or like in the same boat as far as Chelsea sees disrespect, but I don't think it's gonna like alter the situation. I guess.
Yeah, it's a theory. It's just
Yeah, could
basically
be
this
could
this was
could be
just
possible. Yeah,
this is
or
just setting up Zelina going for the title, which she won't get. Might be next week or it might be after the SmackDown after. Okay.
yeah, could be something. I don't know. I don't know why they took out the OWO. I'm still confused about that, but that's for another story, another day.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna just paraphrase some of this stuff. We already talked about this, the Berto stuff that happened after that. The Cody Rhodes segment. Honestly, I don't know why they had this on the card because not to say that Cody is a bad talker, but as far as the context of everything that's happened to him from Chamber to like all the slander and all that stuff that he's been ran down and everything like that, all the titles in the ring and him talking about his time in Defy in Seattle, what did that add to the story?
I mean, I get that part, I guess technically didn't, but the basic premise of going over like the different title belts and who held them and the respect for the title in essence, basically like, Cena saying he's the only real champion and he's taking the belt with him. Cody sort of, in his way, countered that by saying, no, you're not the only real champion. There have been others, including you at one point, because the spinner belt was there, and
Yeah.
I'm one too, and you're not taking it. It's keeping it. It was a little bit. It was another layer to lean into like the Cena being the only real champion basically ever in his mind and taking the belt. And that was sort of Cody's counter because Cena wasn't there for him to riff off of, so he sort of did it that way in
Fill
terms
the
of like
void.
there were other real champions like Eddie, etc. And you're not going to disrespect them by saying you're the only real champion. And these belts matter. This belt matters. This is mine. I matter. I'm a real champion. You're not taking it. You're not taking it from me. I'm whatever. It was probably slightly overproduced, but like the general point I got out of it.
Yeah,
And with no scene, and with no
at some point he
Cena
brought up like Liv
there,
Morgan and stuff, right?
well, you brought up all the people in the locker room who were like sort of like a family. We all make each other better because Cena's basically like acting like, he's the only one who's, in essence, his words were like, you know, I make everything better and I make mediocre good, blah, 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 blah. And Cody's sort of said that to counter it in terms of like, are you saying all these people are mediocre, but the locker room doesn't matter, but all these people, he's basically saying all these people, like these people are all good and they all care about the company and they care about the titles and they work hard and they all make each other better. And it's sort of countering everything Cena's saying. It was a little
Yeah.
overproduced, but it was a way to do that and like hit back on one of the points that Cena's been making about him being the only real champion. He's taken the belt. The belt only matters when he has it. He didn't say it that way, but that was basically what he was saying: is the belt only really matters when I have it, and when I take it, it's never going to matter again. And it's almost like, screw anybody else who ever had it. It's me. I'm the guy. I've always been the guy. I've been the only guy. And so Cody countered with, no, you're not. These were the guy. These were real champions. I'm a real champion. You're not taking this from me. You're basically delusional. And like I said, it was a little overproduced, but I got the general point of it. Although that could have been done before last night
Yeah.
or before this show. And then, but based on like the back and forth they had, seeing it, Cody could have had the opportunity to come out there, cut a promo. Could have been 5 minutes, could have been 10 minutes, whatever it was. Cut a promo where he takes another shot at Cena, another fiery promo, takes his shot at Cena, and then they, when Cena shows up next week, obviously Cody's going to be there. It the volcano erupts
Right.
next week, and it could have led into that. It wasn't useless. It hit one of the points that Cena's been making. It was a little overproduced, but it was all right.
Yeah.
It was all right.
Yeah.
It could have been different, but I got the general point. Like he used that part of Cena, what Cena's been saying about he's the only real champion and he's taking the
Yeah.
belt, and anybody after that, it's only a toy because he's the only real champion and the only real belt is going to be his and he's going to retire with it, blah, blah, blah. Cody countered that because he's been saying it. He countered that point because I guess all the other stuff that needed to be said other than why The Rock, we still don't have that, has been said. So he's countering that point. Like, you know what? You're not the only real champion. There have been other real champions. You can't disrespect the Eddie Guerreros and et cetera, et cetera. And, all the people who in the back who he mentioned who are main event caliber people who have been world champions. You're basically saying they were champions and they don't count. They never counted.
Yeah.
So I get that. Like, it's a mind game. Like, those people don't count. But that could, like I said, it's countering that point, but it's also could add another layer to the eventual Cena redemption arc where Cena basically like disregarded everybody and he's going to have to pay for that with these people after the fact. So like I said, it was a little overwinded, a little overproduced, but the counterpoint, like I said, I agree. This could have been done before, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. He could have done something like this, and then this could have been an opportunity to just like verbally eviscerate Cena in his own way, bring up The Rock again, whatever it is, and then when they're in the ring together next week, because they will be, it erupts. Like they go at each other, or you know, whatever it might be, it would build to that, and then you're good to go for the following night. But it was fine. I got the general point. Like there was layers to it.
Yeah.
Countering Cena's argument about being the only real champion and sort of disregarding everybody else who's been champion. Like I don't, I am talent. I make mediocrity. I make the most out of mediocrity. Well, like mentioning Orton and people like that. Well, like, so Orton's been mediocre, and that all that feuding you did with Orton over the title and everything else. So you're kind of like saying, so you think Randy Orton's mediocre and wasn't a real champion? Like little mind game. Like I got the point. It was a bit much, but I got the point. I got the subtle little nuance and the subtle little mind game point of it, at least. So to me, I got it. There could have been a little more insult in there or whatever it is, but I got the general point. It's playing off what Cena said. It's a little nuanced thing that should have been done before now. They just did it last night, but it's part of the mind games and part of the throwing what Cena has said back in his face and sort of like reminding other people, who have either feuded with Cena or have been champions, like, you know what, this guy thinks you're mediocre and doesn't think you are a real champion, including like Orton. Which is why it could very well be, if Cena wins, it could be Orton Cena at Backlash, because, is Orton, you know what I'm saying? Is Orton mediocre? Because John Cena sort of implied that everybody else is mediocre. And and anybody who was in the ring with was mediocrity. And right now, there's two people that he feuded with for a while that beat him for the title. He beat for the title that he feuded with over the title. That's Punk, and there's Orton. Although I don't think Cody mentioned Punk. Maybe he did. I don't remember. But the point is, that could play into the whole redemption arc later, is that him saying that like all these other people were like mediocre and he made them, he turned them into not mediocre. Well, I think someone like Randy Orton would disagree that, he was a real champion 14 times, including beating Cena for it, and Cena didn't make him, and he's not mediocre. So that, sort of flip the script on him, mind game thing. I just think that could have been done earlier, and then Cody could have just like hammered him leading into next week, and then it erupts next week. I'm not saying like they're going to have like a 25-minute, expletive laden, round two verbal battle on the mic and then fisticuffs, but I got it. It was okay. It was fine. I got the point where the mind games and what Cena said back in his face, and like, you're not going to disregard me as like not a real champion, and I'm going to beat you, and the title is staying, and you're not getting it. That was basically what it was. It was okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't super long either. It wasn't super long. It's not like he. I could get it. Like people going, why the fuck did he do that? If he was out there for like 25 minutes ranting about it, but it wasn't. It was short enough and to the point. I got what he was saying. Could have been done. Like I said, it could have been done not last night, and it would have been just as good or would have hit harder. Sure, but I got it. People were probably wanting Cody to come out there and by himself, like just like rock the house and like verbally eviscerate and like angrily just like trash talk Cena and hopefully mention The Rock and all that. That's the That's the only problem I have with this whole thing. Is it next week? Because Cena's not going to be on Raw. I don't know if Cody will be or not. Um, but Cena's not going to be on Raw. He will be on SmackDown. They've got to bring the fucking Rock up. Because why is Cena doing all of this and possibly winning the title, and you're not going to just like, he sold his soul to The Rock, and then nothing with The Rock at all until what? Next Sunday night? And then that's it? And then what? You might give a half-assed explanation after? No, we need something now. Other than mentions of The Rock, we need something now as to why The Rock. He gave every other reason as to why he did it and why he's in this mindset and why he, evil and why fuck everybody and I'm the only real champion or whatever it is, because he's sort of included The Rock in that, technically, if you really want to deep dive it, by saying I'm the only real champion and, you know, I am talent and all I do is, make mediocrity better or whatever it is. I mean, he really basically threw everybody under the bus, including the Romans and whatever it is, even though he didn't beat Roman. So it's like, the Rock part of it has been left out of this, and it should have been part of it, period. Even if it was just why. Didn't have to be a long-winded 25-minute, 30-minute explanation, but it's like he aligned himself with The Rock. He sold his soul to The Rock to get this, to be here now. Why did you do it? If he doesn't say so, then The Rock should say so, but nobody has said so. And that whole part has been missing in all this, and it's obviously going to be a factor in the match on Sunday, but you're not going to explain why they teamed up, in essence. You're not. You're just going to be like, oh, it happened, and that's it until Sunday night, and when The Rock inevitably gets involved in it, and that's all you're going to do. You're just going to be like, well, it happened, and here's The Rock when he shows up, and that's all we get, and screw you don't get an explanation. Nah, you got to do better than that. Next week, if The Rock isn't there, I kind of hope he is, actually. It needs to be brought up. Something needs to be said about why The Rock. That's the only thing left in this, besides, like, could there be a stipulation to the match that we don't know about, that they'll wait till the last minute to say. There needs to be mention of why The Rock. Something needs to be brought up and said as to why. That's the missing part. That's like the cherry on top of this feud going into that, is why The Rock, and nobody said. And I don't know what the hell The Rock was posted. I know Rock posted something on Instagram with like a Rubik's Cube on the table, and I mean everybody who saw it is like, what does that mean? But everybody leaned into the fact he was wearing a New Japan shirt. Like, is he going to have something to do with New Japan, or does New Japan have something to do with something going forward? No, I don't think so. It was just him like with a Rubik's Cube, but like, what does it mean? Does it have something to do with his intelligence and like mind games, and that's what he's doing here? He's playing more mind games, and there's more to come. Okay, cool, fine, but like, still, at the end of the day, Cena is aligned with The Rock, and nobody has explained why he aligned with The Rock. Like he couldn't, like he could have done this without, and we would be in the exact same spot we are right now. But he sold his soul to The Rock and Cody didn't. Okay, why did he feel he needed to do that to get to this point? There's nothing. He hasn't said it. Rock hasn't said it. That's it. There's been a couple of mentions of the Rock, of what happened, and that's it. You can't give us the why. If Cena's going to win the title and Rock's going to help him do it, you can't give us the why after that. You got to give us the why before that, because it's sort of clunky that like he sold his soul to The Rock, and they walked out together, and then you don't say another word until after he possibly wins the title, and they're standing next to each other again. And then what? He never explains why he did it. I don't like that. I don't like it.
No.
I mean, we'll see. But I just don't like the fact that they haven't really brought that up.
Hmm. Yeah. Uh. mm, Shit, let's see. Oh no, man. So they had the Street Profits had a segment with the Miz and Carmelo Hayes. Wasn't really much to know with that. I think.
No,
I
poor
do like that they're
Mello.
kind of like saying like, oh, like I guess Miz said that they them not being on the card or making the titles worthy enough to be on the card was a disgrace to his legacy or whatever. It wasn't a bad message to send.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because not like
Hindsight's
Melo's not really getting any rub off the Miz at this particular point. So it's like I don't really get it.
it's like a 50-50, I guess. I guess the him being in a tag team makes it to where he can kind of like grow in a different way, I guess. And Miz might be not to say he did it for Logan, but I guess kind of what he did for Logan essentially.
Perhaps.
Even though Melo definitely has a lot more years under his belt than Paul did, but if it's like they want Melo to be like in a team setting for the main roster, they have opportunity to do it. Plus, if one of the teams get moved
I'll
over, then they can fill the void.
I'll let it play out. It's just an odd pairing, and I don't really see. I don't really see what's the point for Mello. I see it for the Miz, sure, because like Miz is a veteran, former champion. He wants to stay relevant. He wants to go after something meaningful, whatever it is. Team up with the kid, you know, maybe use him to get titles or whatever it is, and disregard him after that. I mean, that's sort of that plays into the veteran heel style, but like I don't know. I'll let it play out, but I don't. I'm meh on the whole thing.
Yeah,
You could have had some. We could have had Mellow pair with somebody else, but it's not the worst name in the world. I mean, there have been worse names, to be honest with you.
I mean it's still kind of. I mean, realistically, it's still kind of bad.
Well, it's not. Well, not. It's not great, but there have been worse names.
I mean,
So
Melo don't Miz doesn't even seem like they thought about it at all. Like I ain't gonna lie, it's like at least if I'm thinking about it, like the names they've came up with recently, those aren't good, but Melo don't Miz makes those names sound like the Four Horsemen or like Evolution. Because that was like you just combined it. You just combined their names into one catchphrase, and they was like, "Yeah, this will hit."
Hmm.
Like if you just called them Miz and
Yeah.
Mello, no one would have been mad about it. Like Miz and Mello is a good enough name for shoot. Make them the new Eminem. Whatever you want to do, like whatever. It's like you could have made that work. Even Miz and
Yeah.
Morrison, like they didn't have a crazy name, so I don't know. Uh,
No.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. What's it was like? Yeah, Roxanne and Tiffany had a match. I think for the most part it was like pretty much good. Obviously, like I mean, they're like the future of the company, so it's best to probably get them. Cause I think they have a match in NXT, but as far as like for the main roster and everything like that, it's good to get them on TV. Let them know that they can, go in the ring. Great for Roxanne because now she's been on Raw and SmackDown over the
Yeah.
last couple of months. So
And Tiffany, got a match, got to beat somebody with some note and recognition, and then you know they sent Charlotte home because they don't want her to get involved, and then Charlotte comes out looking like she grabbed some clothes out of a box at like Goodwill or something like that, and ran out there and like beat her down. It's like okay,
I mean, typical
honestly,
move,
like
typical WWE move to be honest, where it's like the guy like they get sent home, but they're actually still there.
yeah, I know, but it's like
It was
uh,
she had some umph on it, which I mean I don't know if that's like that's the thing is like I hate like feuds like this where it's like it not like it blurs the lines, but it's like you can tell when like they moving with more emphasis, and I'm like I've never seen her move like that vigilantly ever in my life. Oh, like the push seemed like she really did it. The throw seemed like she really did it. Now maybe Tiffany is just that light. I don't know. I doubt it, but
no,
it's like it seemed like she put her heart and soul into that shit. I'm like, okay. Yeah.
yeah, I don't care. I want the feud to be over. Just have the match. Hopefully Tiffany wins and be done with it because I don't care.
You really didn't thinking about Charlotte winning?
It honestly wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me. Honestly, it wouldn't. I just want it to be over. I don't want it to be over. I want Tiffany to win and it be over with because I don't like this feud at all. And obviously Tiffany beating her will be meaningful for Tiffany, but and doesn't do anything to hurt Charlotte. But it's like other than that, I don't really care about this feud. I just want it to be over with because I don't like it. And I'm not ruling out. I cannot rule out Charlotte winning. I can't. Like this, I just can't. I cannot. And it's going to be awful. It's going to be awful. And they could very well do that just because of how much heat Charlotte is getting. It's going to be nuclear if she wins. It's going to be nuclear. And maybe, you know what? Maybe they're like, you know what? We like the sound of that. Charlotte
Hmm.
winning the belt and she's already got that much heat. It's going to be nuclear heat if she wins and she's the champion. And maybe they could look at it in that way and be like, you know what? That would be good because that nuclear heat would be good for the person who beats her for it. Trust me, I don't want it at all. But you can't say they wouldn't do it just because of the nuclear heat the heat she's getting now and how amplified it would be if she wins.
I feel like if that's the case, she
For,
probably would have got more heat beating Rhea than she probably would from beating Tiffany.
yeah, but it's working in this case anyway.
In this case, I feel like it's heat because they obviously don't want her on TV anymore, or like they don't want her. Just they don't want to see her. I don't think it's like heat as in like, oh yeah, Tiffany's such a great baby face. Because like no disrespect to Tiffany, but it's like this, her as a face just does not work to me at all. I just don't think it's possible to me really. Like she's likable, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of like Chelsea Green, where it's like you like them because they're annoying. You don't really. It's not really like like everybody can play face and it actually be believable and fun. It's like some people. It's just like okay, I'd rather just know that they're supposed to be hated and then appreciate their ability to be hated. But with Charlotte, it's like they just don't want to see her anymore, whether she's face or heel, in a character way. Now people saying she sucks at wrestling. I think that's just like a personal thing. But from how she's been booked and everything, I can understand why people don't want to see her as much. Respectfully, I can see that. But they could definitely have a situation to where if they're looking at this and they think, oh yeah, Charlotte winning is like, well, we have to consider it. At that point, if they want to stifle another career and have it be like Asuka 2.0, where it's like, okay, once Asuka loses, it's like, well, what do we do here? Like, then again, it ain't really the same because I mean, I guess Asuka was more or less more dominant than Tiffany has been. Tiffany's had good matches, but she hasn't really been like dominant, so it really wouldn't
I
change
mean,
much.
Tiffany's young. I mean, and could be rebuilt, but you can't say that they won't go there just
I mean,
because of the
I
heat.
mean, but the
They
thing is, like, but that's it. It's not good heat though. Like I feel like they know they know the difference between like heat where it's like, oh, we can make money off this heat, and heat as in if we do this now, they're gonna throw shit in the ring type of heat. I think they might know the difference between that. Like Dom's
I
heat
mean,
is like, oh, you turned on Ray, we love Ray, fuck you. It wasn't like a oh Dom sucks, get off my screen.
oh yeah, no, this is like get off my TV and go home heat. Yeah, I get it,
Exactly. So it's like if she
but
wins,
it
they're throwing shit in the ring. So I don't think they're
but
gonna
if she
risk the chance of that.
but it if I don't know
In
if she
Vegas,
wins if she wins the heat is going to be nuclear on her, and for story purposes, the person that beats her is going to be, no matter who it is going to be so vehemently cheered for and rooted for and be like so fucking over against her that when they beat her, it's going to be like a moment. It's
that's
odd logic. It's odd. I know it's
yeah.
odd
But I
logic, but
mean, yeah. But even it's like realistically, like as far as like from the feuds that she's had, who has Charlotte being heel made? She hasn't
no
made
one.
anybody. Yeah, she hasn't
I
made.
know, but
That's what I said. At that point, it's like the heat. I could see if it was like oh like how our dad was, where it was like people beating Ric Flair, like you were a made man because people hated Rick. Rick was good enough to where it's okay. I hate Rick, but Rick in the ring was great. Rick in the ring was a technical guy, but in this case, Charlotte's good in the ring, but it's just like they're tired of the booking scheme. They're tired of the character. They're tired of the promos being dang
oh,
near
I
centered around like all that stuff. It's like I just why it has to cross my mind because I'm like at that point it's like she has it like if she has a history of like making people from her being hated, possibly.
no, I know she doesn't have the history, but you can't deny the possibility that they'll do it. I know Triple H knows better, but it's also SmackDown related, so he might not be quite as hands on as he is with everything else. You can't deny the possibility that they'll do it.
I mean, what's that
It's
like?
aspect.
I mean, like,
It's
I mean, to be fair, I go like Triple H is also like the same person that had Austin Theory cash in his briefcase on the U.S. title, or yeah, I think was it the U.S. title?
yeah.
Yeah, he had Theory cash in his briefcase on a mid card title. I don't think he got some fuck ups too, but so it's like that's the point. Like to that point, I can see that too, but I mean, I don't know.
I'm not
Let's not
saying it's going to
yeah.
happen.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
I
saying
know
it's
you're not
going to
saying it's gonna
happen,
happen. Yeah, not that, but like it's one of the things where it's like I
but
feel
you
like
can't.
some of them like written on the wall, essentially.
But you can't deny it's not possible because of the heat, the unbelievable heat she's gotten since she came back and won the Rumble. That they wouldn't play on that, have her win, have the go home, get off my TV, we hate you heat be something for that they think might be good TV, and then when she loses to whoever it is, I don't know if it would be Tiffany, but whoever it is, it would be a moment and it would be wildly popular with the fans because whoever it is that does it is going to be instantly over and in, for lack of a better word, made because they basically got rid of her. I mean, you can't deny the possibility that they would do it. You can't.
I mean,
You can't.
but this is the thing. Though, this is the thing. The last two instances that I could think of where they had, even like from a situation similar to that, when Batista did his thing, right? Batista ain't get shit. But Batista literally like they didn't want to see Batista on their screen, and nothing happened with Batista at all. Like they already knew, like if we give anything to Batista, we're losing fans, and Batista didn't touch that belt. When Roman had that Rumble victory with The Rock being in the ring and everything, when like I think they wanted, was it Daniel Bryan at that time? They wanted somebody completely different, and it ended up being Ray at like one of the numbers, and like they booed Ray. Like if it wasn't what they wanted, like it ended up being Roman with at the end and everything. They didn't give a fuck, and I think Roman at that Mania lost. Like I don't think Roman, at least I think he didn't. I could be getting them confused, but I don't think really much
That's
came from the Roman run because they could see vehemently. Oh, this isn't like character hate. This is like real life. I'm tired of you booking him like this hate.
that's fair, but if you look at it in terms of like, behind the scenes, at that particular point, did any of those people have the pull that Charlotte has behind the scenes?
Oh, for sure. But at that time, Batista was dang near a made Hall of Famer. If Batista came back and said, "I want a championship run," they would have gave it to him, but they didn't, or
I'm
I guess
just,
he didn't want it,
I'm
or
just,
like, and then Roman related
it,
to The
it,
Rock.
I'm just saying, it's definitely different circumstances and different people, and I'm not saying it's going to happen or anything of that nature, but I'm not going to be surprised if they do. I don't want it to be that way. I don't think it's going to be that way. I think Tiffany should win and will win. And then I don't know what happens after that, at least specifically with Charlotte. I don't know. But I'm not going to ignore this and think of the past and think of like decisions were made in terms of like heat and getting someone over as like a
Yeah,
made person. I can't deny that possibility and say there's just no way they're going to do it. I can't.
I
There
mean,
there
yeah,
there is there is a chance they'll do it. There is.
but I mean, to that point, it's like it's kind of like boys get this main event at least. But it's like I mean, like I said, like they learned their mistake with Asuka because Asuka losing, she hadn't done anything since. She lost to Rhea, and I feel like I feel like if that's like she would if her beating Rhea, if her losing to Rhea wasn't like where probably one of the clear cut things to where it's like okay, we're done putting her over everybody. Because at that point, like Asuka, when she beat Asuka, she was going over everybody, loved or not. And it was like at that point they learned their lesson from like, okay, well, that kind of did hurt Asuka a little bit. And if we're saying like two people are the future of the company, they at least if I'm them, they're not thinking about full blown habit or drop. And then plus, like we said, she hasn't held it for that long, so that in itself would also be probably their main. I mean, they've done it before, but it probably would also be their main gripe as well.
I mean, I hope. Trust me, I hope not. I'm just acknowledging the fact that it's possible. That's all. I don't want it, and nobody does, but I have to acknowledge the possibility. It's not zero. Let's just be honest. It's not zero.
But if not zero, it's probably like two.
It wasn't honestly, even when Charlotte won the Rumble, and that was obviously the match. The chances of Charlotte winning weren't zero then, so it's certainly not zero now. With this kind of heat, even though it's get off my TV and go away heat, it's still mega heat. And you can't deny that it's the possibilities maybe a little higher now than it was when she won the Royal Rumble that Charlotte could win.
I mean,
And they could run with this. It's not zero. Come on. It's not.
but also she did fuck up though, and I don't think they like rewarding people who fuck up.
Well, I mean, technically, I mean, if you go off of what they did last week and the off script stuff, they both fucked up.
I mean, yeah, but as far as like, well, at least like in the ring, at least Charlotte forgot her lines. So I think what Tiffany said what Tiffany ended up doing was paraphrasing, but when Charlotte forgot her lines because she was getting booed so damn much, that's what made both of them go off script.
I'm not saying that you know, perhaps like Charlotte's more to blame, but they still both fucked that up.
No. I'm just saying, like, if one person forgets their lines and then we both have to paraphrase, we know why we gotta like flip the script more or less. It's because they forgot the next line. Well, they forgot what their
Yeah,
spotting it was. Like Tiffany's not at
yeah, like
fault, but it's like it's kind of like a domino effect.
well,
But
like I said,
it all
I'm just
depends.
acknowledging I'm acknowledging the possibility. It's not zero. You can't say it. There's no way. You can't.
I think it's zero, honestly.
I don't. I don't think it's zero. I don't. I don't want it at all. Trust me, nobody does. But I'm acknowledging internally. I don't think it's zero. If it was zero, even when Charlotte won the Rumble, it's not zero now. Somebody has to be. Somebody probably had the thought like we could run with this. Somebody has. There's just no way it's zero. There's just not. It's just not. Ultimately, I think Tiffany's going to win, and we can kind of forget this, or at least to a degree, we can forget this. But I'm not going to sit here and go, "There's zero chance Charlotte's going to win." There's just not. Until Tiffany gets the 1, 2, 3, I'm not going to say there's zero chance Charlotte's winning this. I'm not. I can't. So,
It depends.
am I going to roll my eyes if Charlotte wins? Of course.
I mean,
Because, but I'm
it's
also,
like I'm kind of looking at it from like the card thing too, as far as like I feel like this year's Mania is one of the most like lopsided match. It's one of the most lopsided match wise to where it's like if you really look at the card, you could almost visibly pick one person that obviously has like the sway of winning the match, or the only person that has something to gain is one person from the opposite end of the spectrum. Maybe Cody Cena if you kind of want to like play devil's advocate, but realistically, every match has one person visibly that gains the most from being in it. That's probably like the main reason why I'm thinking of it that way, at least for most of
that's
them.
true. And part of the surprise of the weekend is they'll flip the script on a couple, and it won't happen the way everybody thinks.
Yeah,
Trust me, I don't want it. All I'm saying is I'm saying it's not a 0%. That's it. I'm not saying Charlotte's going to win or that's where they're going to go, but I'm sure because of this, it's it's been discussed as like, well, could we do that? It's not a zero. That's all. It's not a zero.
yeah. Oh, the main event. Ah, yeah. Uh, Knight versus Sikoa and Tamatanga. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think like not even in like a bad way. I don't think I watched as much of this match as I probably wanted to.
I didn't honestly. No offense to anybody in the match. I didn't care.
Yeah, I did. I seen the
Like because
ending, but that was about it.
it got to yeah it basically got to the point where Orton and Solo were out of the match and brawled into the crowd, and Knight hit a BFT, won the match. Jacob came out, beat his ass. Okay, more to like you know that match at Mania, and that's it.
Yeah,
I mean, are we actually gonna get Orton and Solo? Because they sort of hinted at one or the other. I'd rather it not be that, but because I don't think Solo doesn't need to lose another high profile match. That's the only reason why, and there's nothing to it either. But you know, a last minute put together, there could be worse, of course, but yeah, a very anticlimactic ending. But like I said, they're just sort of like you know, kind of going neutral and just sort of like
I mean, they're basically just finalizing the card.
yeah, and like putting giving a little oomph to like the individual matches, like just giving a little bit of a boost to try to like get more people to be like, oh, I want to see that. I got to tune in one way or another, or because both nights aren't sold out. Like maybe doing this will hype some more people to show up because they're not sold out both nights.
Yeah. But the thing for that is that, like, I
'Cause-
mean, it's like if the price is like, I feel like really their main reason for that is like they charging too damn much. I seen some of them ticket prices, and it's actually insane. Like I respect the hustle, but it's like I get you're in Vegas, but you're charging way too damn much. Then on top of the fact that, at least in most cases, like I think there are certain matches on the card where it's like kind of the same thing for like how we've kind of discussed. Like there are certain matches that just have no interest. Either people either have no interest, lost no interest, or there's no point in the match being on the card. So that plays a factor into a lot of that stuff too. Which I mean, they can throw, shoot, they could have a bikini contest on Monday. They ain't buying the tickets. That's just how it is at this point. Or at least it's how it's kind of getting to.
yeah, it's just basically like end of the road before WrestleMania. Like they're just between video packages, vignettes, and whatnot. They're just hyping up the matches and trying to put a little extra stank on them all to make them more watchable. I Again, I don't know. And it was
Yeah.
yeah, it was a up
There's
and
some stank on
down.
that card though.
Yeah, not in a good way, but
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Not the
yeah,
good one they want, but it's so
uh-uh.
annoying. Yeah. Basically just filler. I don't think it's like one of the things where it's like I'm not as mad at the filler aspect because I mean they're gonna be in Vegas Friday. Like I get why. It's just one of those things where for it to be as long as it is, you would kind of expect it to not be filler. If you're gonna do a 3 hour thing, even though they're gonna revert, if you're gonna do 3 hours of filler, that filler better at least be like good, not good filler, but like it better it has to at least make sense, or not just seem like it's dragging or it's monotonous or you know what they're doing ain't finna happen. Like Charlotte getting kicked out, so they told her to go home. Everybody knew damn well she wasn't leaving. Like it's like certain things where it's like if you watch the product long enough, you kind of just know like okay, well this ain't happening. This is happening instead. And then once you see it, it's like oh well yeah, I thought it would. They don't. Maybe it's just like the growth of wrestling fans to where watching it's hard to trick fans as much as they used to in the past because we didn't know anything. All we had was TV. Like we didn't just go to the internet and it was like, oh well, this wasn't planned, or actually this person's injured. Like it's hard to trick people the way that they used to, which makes it harder to have filler shows or long-winded tactical moments because you kind of know where it's gonna end,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
sucks.
And
Or at least this Mania. Maybe it could be this Mania is like not the Mania that
I
it
just
probably could have been.
triple. I 1000% believe that based on what this card is, Triple H is saving something for those two nights. That's going to be like, oh, that's going to make this a lot better than it looks on paper. A lot being a subjective term, of course, but it's going to be better than
You
it
know, I think
looks on
like
paper.
yeah.
Triple H is going to pull some things out that's going to boost this up while it's happening. This isn't going to go straight up as it is right now. There's going to be some wrinkles and twists. I know it. How much? I don't know, and how much it elevates the entire show as far as like comparing it to others, I don't know. If this runs strictly based on how it is with no shocks or surprises, this could very well be like bottom 10.
I don't even think it gets ranked. To be honest. I
Well,
Because I
it's
feel like
not like it's
most of,
gonna.
because I feel like
It
most of the New Age manias really haven't really been that. At least to me, they haven't really been that memorable. They have moments that you can like point out, but they're not
No, but
like,
I
oh,
wouldn't call.
top to bottom,
I'm
I
not
love this
rank.
card.
I'm not gonna rank it just based on what they've got right now and what we'll see in the ring, and Jay's moment and what's gonna happen with Cena and Cody and whatever it is. Like when it's done, I'm not gonna be like, this is one of the worst WrestleManias I've ever seen because there's been 41 of them. I'm not gonna like be like, oh, that is definitely like top five worst. I'm not gonna go that far,
Oh, no, not like
but
it'll be like the worst one, but it's like one of the ones where it's like, oh, if I'm talking about top 10 manias, they don't come up at all.
oh hell no,
Like
no,
like
hell
like
no,
half
no,
half the
no.
manias past the 30s is like you really can't sit there and be like, I'd be like you can have stuff you enjoy, but you can't say like, oh, from top to bottom, I love this mania purely. Like there's not many manias from
No,
top to bottom that I'm like, oh yeah, like
no,
from opening to close, I'm fucking with it. Which
no. But based on
which
what's on paper, this is not going to be the worst WrestleMania ever.
oh no,
I know there's going to be something. Triple H is going to do some stuff. He's just going to wait till that night, and the people that are there and the people watching will be like, oh shit. He wants that. He wants those oh shit moments, and he's going to pull some stuff out. How much I don't know, and then be like, should have watched, should have been there, because that's kind of been his thing since he took over, is like, or once he started to get a little bit more power in the creative and all, even before like Vince was like totally gone, and like when TKO took over, like Triple H is kind of known for like at PLEs like some what the fuck kind of thing, doing some what the fuck thing at PLEs. This is WrestleMania. He's doing something. He's going to do something. What? I don't know, but we're doing something. It ain't going to be what's on paper here and like, oh, The Rock's going to be there. The Rock's going to get involved in the Cody Cena match, and that's it. It's going to be more than that.
yeah, but
For sure.
yeah, I feel like at this point, like there's one thing I can honestly say about like the whole like Triple H like run. Granted, his booking is better than the aforementioned people to an extent, but he can't keep hanging his hat on surprises. At a certain point, he's gonna have to just build a card purely off of who's in the locker room, and I feel like he probably, I mean, at least like to my knowledge, everything has had like surprises, and it kind of just makes me think like, do they just like phone in half of it to where it's like, okay, now if you watch the pay per view, now you get the work that we've been planning. When in reality, it could have just been like, okay, if this is the most talented, hard-working group of people that you've had in the entire like creation of your company, why aren't they able to have like capable, captivating cards that aren't full of surprises and just pure wrestling or like pure story payoff and that's it?
Well, it's the same thing as like everybody who complains about like a lot of the PLEs where like there's only 5 matches on the PLA. Well, why would you complain about that if what's on there gets more time to tell stories
Yeah,
in the
like
ring?
like it's 5 matches that are captivating. Where it's like I'd rather have
Hmm.
5 captivating matches that I know why they're in the ring in the first place, and it like actually lives up to the hype, rather than 10 to 15 of just, hey, 5 of these have purpose, but the rest of these is just like, okay, yeah, they're gonna like it from a live crowd perspective, and you're not even selling tickets. So at that point, who's really gonna sit there and be watching this spectacle of sorts if no one's buying tickets anyway?
Well, yeah. And obviously, based on what they've been trying to put together, they haven't sold out both nights. So,
Yeah. Like if I was a wrestling fan, I'm not gonna see them booking AJ and Logan Paul respectfully and be like, damn, I gotta pay $1,000 for a ticket. Like, no, that's not gonna make me jump out my seat if I'm
no,
watching week to week. And like, no
no,
disrespect to AJ. AJ's one of the greats, but they're not giving him much to really sink his teeth into if this is his last run.
no.
But
Well, like,
mhm.
like I said, we got another week left. We got 2 more shows.
Yeah.
Let's see what they do to hype it and build everything more, and then maybe they throw a little wrinkle at us at the last minute for something, stipulation, whatever, something, and we'll just go into next weekend and see what happens. And knowing Triple H, I think he's gonna pull some holy shit stuff out of his hat that it's gonna boost the show overall. It's just like, but then after be like, well, if you had done more to boost it, you wouldn't have needed to do that. But then again, doing that also makes it more fun. So it's like six of one, half a dozen of the other. It's like pick your poison.
Yeah. I mean, like surprises are good, but it's like I feel like there's certain times where it's like, say, at least like the last three manias, if we really had to think about it, right? The mania in Hollywood was probably one of the better spectacles, and there really wasn't that much like shocking, like visibly that you could really remember. As far as they had matches, they delivered, and that was it. The one in
Fair.
Philly, the one in Philly had surprises, and most people were probably like, "Oh, like this is one of the best." Like some people say, "Oh, this is one of the best manias ever." Outside of like maybe two other things, that show was forgettable, and in the nicest way
Um,
possible. Like outside like
I
maybe like.
rem
Mm-hmm.
I remember the two main events, and I remember uh Rhea and Charlotte.
Yeah, like and like so like that's forgetting like the tag match. That's forgetting Jimmy and Jay because that match was not good.
No, it was
There's
not.
there's like a lot of matches on that card where it's like, dang, like you really could have did a lot better with this. So at that point, it's like people would say it's the best ever just because of night two or night one and night two's like endings. And I'm like, at that point, if that's all it takes for them to do it, that's why they keep booking the shows like that because it's like, oh, if we could be the greatest off of just the finalizing moments, we could throw whatever on the card. We could throw literally just about anybody on the card, and as long as y'all remember what the last thing was you saw, we'll take it. And that's why it's kind of not to say like they're like just like sucking up or stinking up the joint, but it's just like I'm that format is kind of tiring when you want to see like full shows of substance, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of wraps it up for this review. We did it the day after because I mean, just you can obviously tell from the demeanor of this, it's not meant to come off how it probably is. It's just the closer you
No.
get, the more you would expect, and there's not really much going on, so you get what you
And we
get.
definitely riffed more than expected because, this has been a little wonky.
More or
But
less. I mean, it's like the usual, I would assume. It always
yeah.
it ain't really like nothing too crazy.
Mm-mm.
Um, obviously we got Monday, of course. Um, I was trying to figure out like what to, as far as like I think there might be videos Tuesday and Wednesday because we still have to do like predictions for the card more or less because I guess the card is completely finalized. We can look at that, pick winners
We
and
planned
losers.
on we planned on doing um the night one main event and then the whole card.
Yeah. So definitely if all goes to plan, Tuesday and either a Wednesday or a Thursday, there should be that. And then after that, it's kind of just the home stretch of the next 4 days being either really, really tiring or really, really productive.
Or both.
Yeah, but yeah. Thank you guys for listening. If you made it this far in the video, once again, like and subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. Across all
Mm-hmm.
other platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, find it there as well. Social media wise, at PTP on Twitter and TikTok. G.
Gino's Game on TikTok, Tony the Real on Twitter. And now, obviously, I'm here on
Yep.
YouTube
Yep.
or whatever.
Collectively. So if you guys comment, you
Mm-hmm.
might get a response from one of us. You never know who
Yeah,
it
you
is.
will.
Yep.
You will.
But yeah. Once again, appreciate you guys for listening, and hope you have a good rest of your weekend. And we will see you all on Monday. Peace.
Peace.